Welcome to my PowerPoint, Boosting Creativity Using Multimedia, Personalization, and Embodiment Principles in Classroom Instruction. Before I begin, I'd like to just tell you how the slides will be divided. I have created these icons and will be placing them at the top right-hand corner of each slide to let you know which principles we will be talking about as we proceed through the PowerPoint. So let's talk about what is multimedia. The multimedia principle, as stated by Clark and Mayer, supports the idea that learning is at its best when informational text is accompanied by graphics and or audio support. What does that mean in regular language? What it means is that when students are able to see some form of graphic to accompany the text that they have to learn or memorize, you will yield the best results in learning. I've listed here a few graphic samples just to give examples on different types of graphics that teachers can use in the classroom. So what does the research say? So according to the text, multimedia presentations can encourage learners to engage in active learning by mentally representing the material in words and in pictures, thus creating meaningful learning. A lot of that comes from Mayer's cognitive theory, and his theory basically puts the science behind how humans learn. And in a nutshell, it ties into what pictures pass through our eyes and what we hear, and apply it to how our brain selects that information, organizes it into our working memory. And then to take it further, once they're able to organize and put together these images and things that they hear and use them in models, it will commit these things into long-term memory, which is the goal of all teachers. To extend the research, I did find another research article conducted by Louisa Richter and Nell of South Africa. And just to put it simple, they conducted a study where they gave students DVDs of the learning material and compared them their results to students who did not receive the learning information support through a DVD. And what they found was that the children who were exposed to using the DVD yielded better learning results, which supports that cognitive theory that they're not just reading it, but they're also hearing it and seeing examples of it. And I provided a research link if you'd like to see that actual research article. So how do I choose graphics to support this principle? Keywords: be intentional. And what I mean by that is not every image that's included with text is beneficial. So as educators, we have to be very selective in what we're using. The text lists different types of graphics that are used in learning material. I've ordered them in order from least beneficial to interpretive being the most beneficial. So let's look at examples. So I've compared the decorative graphic versus the organizational graphic. Decorative graphics just offers a picture, may or may not apply to the text, where organizational graphics shows relationships among the elements. So as you can see, I have defined by fourth grade definition, a consumer, an organism that feeds on plants or animals for energy. In the decorative graphic, I just listed a picture of the bear. The organizational graphic supports the idea of feeding on plants or animals because it shows, of course, the grasshopper eating a plant, but then also the frog that will eventually eat the grasshopper. And it also shows the arrows, which show examples and eventually later on coming into a conversation of the transfer of energy. So while the decorative graphic is nice to see, the idea is incorporating graphics that are beneficial and can start conversations and allow students to go through that cognitive process. So here's another example of a representational graphic, which is a little bit more specific. It is illustrations that are support the intended graph, the the intended text. So I have the life cycle of a butterfly here in order. But here, the transformational graphic takes it a step further, because not only am I giving the students information, but I'm actually showing them a time-lapse video of the actual metamorphosis of a butterfly. So both are beneficial, but the transformational graphic will put their text or what they're learning in motion, which is the more beneficial for students. So what challenges are faced when implementing the multimedia principle? You need to know your audience. Research in the text did state that incorporating graphics are great for novices, but for experts, research did not support that a lot of graphics help them. And personally, I think it just ties into they've already seen it before, so they just need the quick version. So how can teachers and students use the multimedia principle with creativity in mind? I created 2 activities. One activity was using pictures or still pictures from a short film and allow the children to create dialogue. So they're using the image and they're creating dialogue based on what they see. The benefits of this, it also boosts visual literacy, and students can demonstrate what they're seeing, and this also crosses the lines for students who are speakers of other languages, because they're able to interpret what they see better than what they read. And the second activity was creating an organizational graphic for events leading to the Revolutionary War. So here, I just downloaded a Poplet where students can make quick and easy graphs and diagrams. And here I just show an example where a student listed the events leading up to the American Revolution, but I let them put in different pictures and GIFs that would help them to remember the different events that took place. And there it is. Personalization and embodiment principles. All right, the personalization and embodiment principles. So the personalization and embodiment principles basically talk about how to make what you're presenting to your students personable. Examples of this would be an online assistant. I provided examples like Cortana, Siri, and Bixby, which are on smartphones and computers that actually talk to you and assist you. On a simpler level, as teachers, you can just create a simple avatar that students look for and see when you are presenting them with the different types of text. The key idea with the personalization embodiment principles are that what you are saying is presented in more of a conversational format. And the assistant, if they are an image or a person, that they have a friendly and inviting appearance. So what does the research say? In a nutshell, the research says that students do benefit from things that they can make a social connection from. So in light of our technology today, when we are competing with online videos and online chats, I think that this could not be any more true. So what are challenges faced in these principles? Well, formal versus informal. Some would argue that anything that should be taught should be presented in a formal format. And that is definitely understandable. But to reach our students today, it does need to be more personable. So as educators, we need to find a balance. The importance of learning information can be diminished if the language does not convey importance. So you do not want your learners to be too comfortable to where they just lose focus on the task altogether. And how much is too much? There is some concern and research needed as to whether online agents and voices can eventually become distracting, and whether male or female narrators would make a difference in student performance. So how do I execute effective personalization and embodiment techniques? I've come up with 2 ideas. You can create an avatar, create a class avatar that your students look for in any of their online assignments so that they can expect to see that avatar coming with a suggestion, a helpful hint, like listed below. So, and another is the screencast, where you just video yourself on the screen teaching information that the students need. And I have a personally created screencast of how to simplify fractions here below. So how can teachers and students use the personalization and embodiment principles with creativity in mind? Make a comic. So here I just listed the information, the rationale behind making a comic. And here the students created a comic based on the events of the Battle of Lexington and Concord, and the students made it with conversational language, but still keeping to the actual events that happened in history. And that concludes my presentation.